All right, what's up, family? Welcome to Coffee and Conversations. Cheers. So today, I got my dad cup. It's important. Super dad. Key important question I want to ask today is if I gave you $1 million to start a business, what would that business be? Right? And you should write it down because if you are an entrepreneur like myself, you're always solution oriented. You're always thinking about business ideas. But what we want to do within our community is focus on the peak creative idea, the idea that is the most, not the one that's down at the baseline or the foothill where all these other ideas are just competing with each other, right? I got on this hat. It's a company called Rove that is an EV charging station concept that focuses on grocery store convenience. They have a lounge and stuff. If you have a Tesla, you've seen these type of lounges out there, like the basic Tesla lounge. So this company is interesting because a member of our church has a EV workforce company, and early on we used to think of all kind of ideas that could go along with these solutions because they focus on servicing charging stations. And I was like, "Ooh, this would be cool to develop this, that, and the other." That's just the entrepreneur in you will always think about a solution. But however, did I really have the passion to go and say, "Oh, this is it," to want to push it to the market? It's like, no, it's ideas beget ideas, and that's just it. All the thousands of millions of entrepreneurs out there usually will think of solutions in a way with some small variation, right? Like, not saying that I couldn't bring something like this to market now. There's several companies focusing on that. But again, that's not my passion, right? And looking at the $1 million question, if I had $1 million, what would I do? Now, after 25 years in the entertainment business, 30 years as an entrepreneur, been working since I was 15. And um, just thinking about what I would do, and this is something I'll share in the private community, how I would structure that. Um, there is something that we all should do is write out all these ideas that you have. I know I'm not the only entrepreneur with tons of ideas. Write it out, but what is the biggest idea that you have? Like, God, the one that you have to trust God the most to help you figure it out. The one that you know is so big, but you don't have the full roadmap to it. That's the one that you need to focus on. And how do we identify that, right? How do we clear pathways to it? And I'm gonna just tell you a couple of entrepreneurial stories about myself. When I first jumped back into the YouTube and I wanted to start building my content, I had recently started my Turo business. Now, Turo is cool because it gives you this sense of ownership. You know, you got these cars, you're providing, a premium rental service and all that. I had two Teslas and I had my truck, which was, a Dodge Durango GT. And they were all doing well first year. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the system of not having any car one weekend and then I had to go on there and rent a car. It was fun because it was coming out of the pandemic and we needed some excitement, right? And it also was generating decent revenue. Car notes were being covered. But Turo is not my vision. Turo is a solution that is another person's vision. God didn't give me Turo as a business model, right? And I'm sure the person who came up with that basically brainstorm off the idea of what Uber is, what this and that, what Airbnb is, using your car to make money, right? And so it's not something that's sustainable. Like, it's not something where I want to compete with Hertz or Enterprise. It was something to do out the pandemic that I was excited about. So I made content about it. And so my YouTube channel, one of the highest viewed videos that I have is over 150, I think it's 189,000 views, about my 44-day rental that I had. And I don't have a problem sharing those stories, but as my channel evolves now to focus on my coaching, mentoring, and my experience, my unique ability, what I really have to offer, not the Turo. The Turo is just something that I could share because I understand how to run businesses. I can share and tell somebody how to win on there, but I'm not going to do it because it started to turn into 2X behavior. And so now I have videos on my channel. I'm not going to take them down or anything. Also, some of the videos that I use ad strategies on there. And for these videos, I'm not going to use any type of advertising strategy for it. They're just going to organically grow. We're going to grow together and love to come and have some coffee and conversations, because this is very important. Why I'm mentioning Turo: also had a renovation business. You could check out the Project Home Show. That's just something that I love to do. I loved architecture as a kid. So it's something that will always be a part of my life, building, developing as I'm sitting here in my ADU. The main thing that we need to know is that there's something that you use as a side hustle, but the side hustle is not supposed to last long. It's not supposed to be forever. It's not, because what it's doing is taking you away from your true calling of what you're supposed to do. Most people that find success, like I know a few Uber folks who created a lifestyle brand around Uber or around DoorDash, around those services that they use, and filming it, vlogging it. They're all going to actually go into something else. It's going to be something that takes away that side hustle. But they were brave enough to put it out there. So that's what we're talking about right now. But I'm talking about Rove, I'm talking about Turo, I'm talking about all these other apps. All these things are someone else's vision. That one thing that will only pay you a fraction of what God wants to give you if you were to focus on the big idea, your peak experience, your peak imagination, your peak creativity. And that's what we want to push for that $1 million. If somebody gave that $1 million to you, now you do have to prepare for the opportunity. You may have to focus and be obedient on, what God is telling you to do. Like we keep saying, obedience is better than sacrifice. I know that more than ever this year, because once you cut off certain things, it's a financial shift, and you're in the gap of that shift usually is uncomfortable. But when you focus on gratefulness, it kind of grounds you down to what you should be doing. And so I'm thankful for the books that I've been reading that help me understand psychologically the behaviors around side hustles, burnout, running your business the right way, understanding that if you don't have an assistant or an executive assistant, you're working backwards. All these things. There's a lot that I learned that, we'll have to share in another video, but all the authors, I'll do a video about that. I think I spoke about that in my last video, but all the books that I read, things like that helped me shape my mindset around why it was easy for me to let go of those things that weren't necessarily God's vision for me, but something exciting that I could do temporarily to make money, right? So that's what we want to do, is figure out how to take the time to do what God is telling you to do and not what circumstances are telling you to do. Right? And yes, I'm not saying cut off every dollar, cut off every resource. I'm not saying that. We all have to find our way to ensure that we get to our obligations. But once you figure out how much more important the obligation is to yourself, to your dream, to what God is telling you to do, then life actually gets sweeter. Like the peace that I experienced this year, even if, you know, I'm looking for, let's just say $200,000 to complete my project here. But the peace that I find knowing that the resource I've already received it, the mindset, then I know that if you sit around worrying about something, it's not going to happen. But if you sit around and you work toward the big idea, just keep your feet moving. I'm telling you. You'll be ready to execute and achieve those goals. So in our community, I'm going to be giving out all of these little tidbits in the newsletter. We're launching our community where I'll be coaching people into their peak experiences and into their peak ideas, and through the mentorship program. So first things first, you can sign up to the newsletter down in the description. That's going to be our first thing, and then I'll let you guys know once the program is launched. But right now, from November to the end of the year, I'll be working on my vision, and hopefully probably in a week or two I'll share with you guys how I think the best way to focus on like continual vision. I'll share that with you guys, what I'm working on. So anyway, thanks for coming. Hope your coffee was good. Mine was. Hope the conversation was helpful. And we'll see you tomorrow or the next day, whenever you're watching these videos. But the $1 million question: what is really your big idea? What has God given you that's very unique, that nobody else has done? I think this is the way we should evaluate it. Is write out all your ideas. Look at how many of those ideas have the competitors, how many competitors, then how big the idea is. Is it scary? Is it something that you think you can't pull off? Those are the ideas that are mountaintop ideas. All right, just think about it. Sign up for the newsletter, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.